Have you ever wanted to escape reality so bad that you tricked yourself into believing the objects in your home are actually people trapped as objects? Oh, and for the sole purpose of falling madly in love with them? Well, look no further because now you can. With the hit new dating sim Date Everything, even your plunger in existential dread or potential love interests. This game's concept is every character designer's wet dream, and so, of course, I have to put my own spin on it. Today we're going to be redesigning some of our own characters based on objects from my home. Let's get started. First up, we have a feather duster. I'm surprised this wasn't already in the game as a pretty common household object, and I knew this was going to be a super fun character design. First, I broke down the shapes of the object to form some kind of outfit. There are three main parts: the yellow handle, the white teeth, and the feathers. The actual core of a feather duster is very skinny. The feathered part is removable, so I wanted to make it some kind of huge feather jacket that juts out, giving the silhouette of a super puffy look. The outfit underneath would be a super tight-fitted skirt and shirt combo. I wanted to include the round hole on the bottom of the handle, so I made her shoes these matching open toe heels. I had the most fun trying to design her hair. I wanted it to flow into the jacket and also be super long but almost be dust-colored. There's these super voluminous, frizzy but not dense locks that I always see on Pinterest that I wanted to try my hand at that I thought would further add to that dust look. I added some small accessories woven into the hair, like sometimes when you're dusting, some bigger particles might get caught in the fabrics, so just adding some smaller details like that to really pull it together, plus a tooth gap to represent the duster's teeth, of course. Now we get to the fun stuff, personality and how it all comes together. Feather dusters are typically one of the lower priority cleaning supplies people use around the house. You know, you aren't necessarily dusting every day, especially compared to, say, a vacuum or mop or trash can. I imagine Dustine comes from a very hardworking family, while she, on the other hand, is kind of a spoiled brat who doesn't like to work. And when she does work, it's always the easiest job, but she still comes with an attitude. Her family probably has to clean up after her because she's just not the best at what she does and can be kind of careless. Kind of like when you're dusting and you're just waving it around high shelves, letting all the dust fall to the ground that you just vacuumed because you saved dusting for last. Again, that's the scene I'm setting up for y'all. Her fashion can be described as alternative but in an eclectic way, since you usually only dust in high places and places that aren't usually visible. I imagine Dustine is passionate about high fashion, mixing and matching clothing in a way most people don't have an eye for. Last but certainly not least, I thank my Instagram and TikTok followers for helping me decide the pun in her name. I was stuck between Destiny and Dustine for so long until y'all voted. Speaking of, if y'all want to be part of making decisions in my character design videos and seeing the designs before a video comes out, I post weekly on Instagram, so go stalk me over there. And this is Dustine Swift, if a feather duster was personified. I absolutely love her design. I think her object definitely had the most potential for a visible object to human redesign. Like, if I didn't tell you she was a feather duster, you could probably guess. And I love that.
Long story. Well, no, it's actually short. I just don't feel like telling you.
Next up, we have the general object of awards. All types of awards, plaques, medals, all of it. Editing Mari here. I've just been made aware that this character already exists in-game. Their name is Stepford, and there's supposed to be a trophy wife character. I'm not gonna completely rule out my character design here, okay? There's still some valuable things to take away from this. And honestly, it's really cool to see how our designs differ and like how they decided to interpret the award character compared to how I did. So this is just a happy accident, okay? Anyways. Since there is no one shape for all of these things, I decided to go with the general theme, that being gold all over. His all gold suit kind of makes him look like one of those person-shaped awards. For the name, I stuck with Adam Ward, a pun for a damn award. I swear, coming up with these names is the most fun part of all of this. I wanted him to be the most successful, insufferable person in the world. This is not a humble guy. This is a man whose main goal in life is to win everything, no matter the costs. He boasts about every accomplishment, even if it's from 30 plus years ago. I have him depicted as an older gentleman because most awards just end up staying propped up on a shelf, getting dusty for years and years. So he too is holding on to these awards as he ages. He's cocky, only respecting people he deems worthy, which is very few. Probably a CEO of some finance company adopting that rise and grind mindset. He doesn't have relationships with people because he doesn't have time for dating or friendships. I imagine he'd be very hard to unlock in-game, as you'd have to walk on eggshells just for him to give you the time of day. Most of the time cutting it short because he's in a rush. I even gave him earpieces because, of course, this man has got to be on call for work. It's like his life's mission. I wanted him to wear all of his accomplishments on his sleeve. Literally. So all of his accessories are still him just showing off. For example, he has his degree plastered on the front pocket of his work bag and a very flashy watch on his wrist. His expensive car keys are strapped on his belt strap, and oh, of course, his belt is from a very expensive brand. Instead of ties, he wears his work-issued medals around his neck like a badge of honor, and last but not least, a popped collar to show off his chest so that everyone knows that this man works out. Like I said, absolutely insufferable, even up to wearing that fake salesman smile. And here is my final design of Adam Ward, a personified version of an award. Although his design was the most straightforward and a little less creative since I was only doing a general object, I still like how he turned out. It's not often that I get to draw middle-aged men or people smiling so upfront like he is. But yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Look, sweetheart, we're in the middle of a con here, walking the razor's edge. On the one hand, gold. On the other hand, painful, agonizing failure.
Last but certainly not least, I wanted to do a character design for a lighter. Not to get confused with the already existing Lux that represents light. We're designing a lighter. So first things first, I decided not to go with what could have been the easy way out of drawing some edgy, pale dude wearing a hoodie smoking a cigarette, because that was just way too easy. Because your generic lighter is usually some boxy, single-colored object, I wanted to start with the story behind the character. Lighters are usually the behind-the-scenes, always there, but never the main event kind of object. If you smoke cigarettes, you always have a cigarette, but end up asking around for a lighter. The lighter gets passed around and borrowed, even at birthdays. Everyone remembers to buy the candles, but the candle would be nothing without the spark that a lighter brings. Needed, but always forgotten. I promise this is going somewhere. I heard this song by mxridraws, a rapper, where in the beginning there's this sound of a lighter flicking. And this song just sums up the entire vibe I wanted to give this character. Kind of quiet, solemn, isolated vibe of a guy that knows a lot of people, but isn't really the main part of any group. Everyone knows of him, but nobody knows him. Then I went searching for other songs with the sound of lighter flicks and learned that Lil Wayne's promoter tag is literally that.
Mike Wilmer.
It's in almost all of his songs, and so I made an executive decision to make our guy here a producer. It also aligns with that character motive of always being needed but never the star of the show. You know, every artist needs a producer, but it's the artist who gets all the fame in the end. So now it was just about forming a character around that vibe and giving his outfit attributes of a lighter. I still wanted to give him an edgy aesthetic, but in a black alternative sense of fashion. Lighters are asymmetrical at the top where the metal is, so I have his sweater kind of laying on him diagonally. He has a lot of silver, metal accessories in his belt, chain, etc. to just emphasize that more industrial look of lighters. I gave him a square build, and lastly a fire design peeking up the edge of his pants, so we're at least mentioning the literal use of a lighter. That concludes the design for our lighter character here. I absolutely love him. Maybe not as much as Dustine, but this character really got me to think deeper than I usually do about the core of a character.
I would say nice to meet you, but I don't believe in time as a concept, so.
And that pretty much wraps up today's video, guys. Here they are all together. Thank you so much for watching until the end. I love doing these character design videos, and you guys seem to as well, so let me know if you have any ideas for themes. I have some video ideas in the vault, like another LPS redesign video, but on a specific series instead. OC related stuff, Hollow Knight stuff, and even Valorant character design stuff. So don't worry, I am overflowing with ideas. Like I mentioned, I post weekly on Instagram and 3 times a week on TikTok. I have some end of year social media goals I'm working hard to reach, so if y'all want to check out my pages to gauge my worthiness, it's all linked in the bio. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.